You know why we're here today. It's almost Tuskegee homecoming time, people. We got to get ready. Fall is here, coolness is in the air, and we got to cook some right before homecoming shows up. But what are we cooking today? We're going to put together a pot pie. Just a tad bit of twist to it. Side salad, nothing too complicated. So let's get this thing started. All to the sounds of, Stand Up and Get Crunk by the Yin Yang Twins. But we know we heard the sound way before then, people. At TU. So let's get ready to get this pot pie on. Boom, boom. All right, folks, so here we go. So we're going to start out with some very fresh vegetables. As you can see, we're going to use some onions, some bell peppers to start with, some fresh rosemary and thyme, some jalapeno peppers as well. And then we're going to add, of course, some of the main ingredients to a pot pie, which is carrots and some green beans and some broccoli and some green peas, and of course the chicken. So we're going to go ahead and start with the broth. I made my own. You're welcome to purchase yours. And then I've cut up some broccoli and some carrots and some celery and some green beans. And now I'm straining my broth, just showing you a picture of that. And then I'm going to blanch the fresh vegetables and then stop the cooking process with some ice. So let's go ahead and start. So we'll start with some butter, as I mentioned. We'll put the flour in there, and which is, is going to make a roux or start our gravy process. And then I'll let that cook just a little bit to ensure that the flour taste is cooked out of the dish. So we're going to come back with some onions and green peppers and the rosemary and the fresh thyme and the jalapenos. I'm going to cook those down just a few minutes. And we're going to come back with, of course, some of the broth. So we're beginning to ladle in our broth. And, of course, here we're simply trying to get the sauce up to the right consistency. So we'll add the broth, and then we'll come back with some milk. And also, if your sauce is not to the consistency that you like, feel free to add some additional flour and water and temper that with some of the broth, and that'll get your consistency of your sauce up to how you would like it. And of course, the way to ensure that your sauce is the right consistency is simply run your hand through the back of a spoon. If it doesn't bleed through, then you know that you have the right consistency. So after you achieve that, just make sure that you begin to season, because this is all about layering flavors. So we'll come back with, of course, some salt and some pepper and some smoked paprika, some of that poultry seasoning, some dried thyme as well. And again, just ensure that you're tasting this as you go, because your taste may not be mine. So feel free to go in and add some additional flavoring if you like. So I think we're to the point where we're getting the consistency we like. You want to taste this again to make sure that it tastes the way you like, because it's going to taste very similar when it comes out of that pot pie. So I think we're ready to go ahead and begin adding some of our main ingredients to this pot pie. And of course, those are things like mushrooms. And you want to cook those just for a few minutes. But guys, feel free here to add whatever vegetables that you like in your pot pie. This is what I like and what my family likes, but feel free to add whatever works for you, and always season up what works for you guys. So we're going to come back with some of these green peas. These were frozen green peas. And then we're going to add the blanched broccoli, the carrots, the celery, and green beans. And remember that those are blanched, and then the cooking process is stopped by adding some ice water, as I mentioned earlier. So then we came back with some of those cooked potatoes that I cooked in the broth. And of course, the star of this dish is none other than some roasted chicken that you can get from your local grocer, and add that at the end. And I have also turned the heat off here because I don't want to continue to cook the vegetables, because they're going to begin to cook again when I stick it in the oven. So we add our chicken, we mix that all together, and we are about ready to go ahead and stuff this pot pie. But before we can do that, we have to go ahead and roll out our dough. Now remember, guys, if you don't choose to make your own dough, which I absolutely recommend, because fresh dough is always going to be better than store-bought dough, feel free to go ahead and purchase you some dough. But I like this particular dough because I can decide what goes in it. I can decide on the salt content. As I indicated, I added some curry. You can add turmeric, whichever works better for you. So we're going to roll this dough out to the thinness such that it is still crunchy and has a crunch when it's baked in the oven. So you want to make sure that you stretch it out to the point where you're not going to have gooey dough. So I'm actually cooking 4 pot pies, so I'm going to go ahead and just make the dough just a little bit larger than the actual ramekin, and we're gonna fold that over so you can get more crust if you're one of those people that likes a lot more crust. So we do that to all 4 of these pot pies, and then folks, we are going to go ahead and move on to our salad. So very simply, just some romaine lettuce, some spinach, some pomegranate, some cucumbers that have been deseeded. We add some radishes, and then we're moving right along to decorating our pot pie. So I just cut a few strips from some leftover dough, and I made a leaf that's going to go in the middle of that dough, and we'll be ready to pop that thing in the oven. So we're going to continue to decorate our pot pies here. I've added the leaf, and we're going to come back with some egg wash, which is basically just egg and water and or milk. I used milk this time, so it's going to give you your golden crust that you're going to be looking for when the pot pie pops out of the oven. So moving right along to our salad because the pot pies are now in the oven, and so I'm going to dress this with a pomegranate vinaigrette, which consists of some pomegranate juice, some vinegar, some olive oil, salt, pepper, and some grain mustard. Very simply, stir it all up and you're ready to go, folks. You dress that salad and you end up with this beautiful salad as a side dish for your pot pie. So the pot pie is now out of the oven, and so you end up with this beautiful crust that's golden brown. It's dying for you to jump in and enjoy this luscious dish. So we have a side salad, we have a beautiful pot pie. You can see the carrots and the sauce is all there, folks. You're going to love this dish, and I really hope you enjoy it.